Pregame.com.
Raiders +7 at Chargers. Thursday night NFL. Who do you like and why?
Well, RJ, I'm going to go with the total in this game, and I'm going to take the game under the total, and I think we're getting tremendous value with this total, and it's based on last week's scores. Both teams were involved in high-scoring games last week. Oakland in a 38-24 game, San Diego in a 45-38 game. Both of those were losses. Both of those games, to me, were dictated because of the turnovers early in the game. Both Oakland and San Diego was -3 in a turnover margin last week. They gave up quick scores, fell behind, and that set the pace for a fast-tempo game. This week, I see the game being at a slower pace, but for some different reasons.
All right, so let's talk about this setting the pace. I totally understand the concept that if a game is, if there's a deceiving, let's call it, a result, then people react to something that just isn't true. So I like that in general, and that's one of your favorite handicapping approaches of mine. But let's look at this Oakland-Denver game. Now because it seemed I was actually down on the strip playing some cards, watching the score go by. It seems like Oakland was winning that game, right? And then Denver came back, and then Denver took the lead. So I just don't like it to be too neat to say, oh, well, that game was deceiving. Explain to me why specifically that game was deceiving.
Now, that game I didn't see like you did because Sunday I was actually at the Steeler game, and they didn't have that game on in the bar I was at prior to the Steeler game, so I just saw the highlights. There were a lot of big plays in that Denver game with Tebow, and then I believe there was a run back in that game.
Okay, so just to be clear then, is when you talk about then let's double back. What the point about the deceivingness? What was deceiving?
In this, start with San Diego side of it was that game was the San Diego against Green Bay was 21-7 thanks to two Phillip Rivers interception returns for touchdowns early. So now you set that game up at 21-7 in the second quarter, and San Diego's got to play from behind.
I agree on that game 100%. So I think the general point and what we try to do on these videos is balance between handicapping this individual game and trying to teach them handicapping concepts that can be applied to all games in the future. Is what you're saying is the tempo of the game, the order that things happen, the type of team, like some teams playing from behind are going to be affected a certain way, some teams playing from behind a different way. You're saying that the texture of the game has a huge influence in the outcome, and when you look at these games, the texture of them are such that maybe the scoring was a little more than was warranted and thus somewhat deceiving.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that probably gives us a point of value on the total. Where else are we looking?
What else that we're looking at is this is a division matchup, and this all of a sudden becomes an absolute crucial division matchup because these two teams are locked at 4-4. Neither team can afford to lose this game, especially the Chargers, because lose the game at home and then you're going to have to play them later on the road. I look for this to be more of a grinded out type game. Carson Palmer's not ready to trade blows with Phillip Rivers. So from the Oakland standpoint, I still think they got to keep their offensive game plan more simple. Now they're without McFadden again, so that creates a little bit of a problem for them on the running game, but they still were able to rush for 4 yards a carry last week without him. Phillip Rivers, there's problems this year with him. This guy's just turning the ball over left and right. This is not your typical Phillip Rivers. They've had 7 turnovers in the last 2 weeks, and that's what's been their demise in the last 2 weeks. They've lost 3 games in a row, and all 3 of those games.
How does this apply to the total?
Well, again, whenever you give up the ball, and if you give up the ball and give a score with it, now you've got to make up that score. So you're coming back. Like last week.
So you're saying the turnovers are creating a faster paced game, which has probably gotten their total to drift up, or their game results or total points to drift up. And what you're saying is that to some degree, turnovers regress to the mean. So if you take a team that's had a lot of turnovers, not only should you look to back them, because most likely they won't have as many in the future games, but also maybe look towards the under.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me give a few points on the side here, and I did a little research on this. If you take the last 100 teams or games played on Thursday, is the home team has covered 59 of them. So this is a concept that we talked about in college football, how the home team has a big advantage. But now we've got, this goes back over 20 years of games, 59% ATS. So to me, I don't even think you can look at the road team on these Thursday games. When you got something with 100 reps, it's 59%. Yeah, maybe once in a blue moon there's going to be value there, but man, oh man, you got a big hill to climb. Also, I think it's noteworthy the Chargers, they had a Monday night game before last week's game. So this is their third game in 11 days, which is a disadvantage there. I also don't like the Chargers. So this is one of those situations that I see something that makes me not want to bet Oakland, the fact they're on the road. I see something that makes me not want to bet San Diego. That's that they're San Diego. So I'm probably a pass on, or I'm certainly a pass on the side. One last point. Palmer, the wise guys I talk to are saying his arm strength is the problem, and that's not going to get better. He's had a bunch of rest. It's only going to probably get worse. But I do think he still isn't 100% acclimated or integrated with the offense, and having an ultra short week I think hurts them even more. So I rarely would be looking at San Diego here, but man, a lot of things are pointing that way. One thing that stops me cold in my tracks is, now let's think about this real quick. San Diego has underperformed pretty significantly, right?
Absolutely.
Oakland, I think you can say, is flat. I think when Campbell was fine before the last two games, they were certainly up. I think in general they're 4-4, and I am almost certain their win total was lower than 8. So you can say slightly over expectations. The July line in this game, the preseason line, was 7. It's now 7. We've got one of these situations where the must-win element with San Diego is inflating this line, and personally, I typically like to fade that. So I think that there's things strongly that recommend fading both teams, but you can't fade them both. What's your projection?
I'm going to go with the under, and I have it as San Diego winning 24-17, which actually puts it right on the number for the game, but keeps us under the total.
Okay, guys. If there's anything in this conversation that interested you, what we're doing is at pregamevideos.com, we're embedding every video we do each week, and all the participants are committed to answering any and all questions. So continue the conversation. Talk to you there.
Don't forget about the dollar.
Oh, whoa. Well, we can't let them go, can we? Is every Thursday, good catch, is we have a $1 best bet. It's the only time all week. It's $1 for the very best bet from the very hottest handicapper. Who's the dollar this week?
It's Brian Leonard, and I think we should punish RJ for that. You guys should all take advantage of the dollar since he almost forgot to give it to you.
You know, we want everyone to win and be happy.
That's it.
And all you got to do is go to pregame.com and click buy picks, and you can check out that dollar best bet every Thursday. See you soon.